What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out a brand new bike from Fafrees. The one that we have here today, it's called the F20 Max, and this is the second bike that I'm trying from this brand. So this is a step-through folding cargo e-bike with fat tires. So we have the massively fat tires on the front and on the back. These are 20-inch wheels with 4-inch wide tires. We also get a fairly large battery pack. This is a 22.5 amp hour battery, so larger than most of these cargo e-bikes available on the market. With that being said, let's start by doing a bit of an unboxing just so I can show you what you have to do to get this ready and on the road. Alright, so considering the size of this bike, it doesn't come in that big of a box. Now, the bike itself is fairly heavy, so this has a weight of just under 32 kilos. So it's not going to be that easy to carry around, but still, it's lighter than many other e-bikes that I got to try in the past. Now, what I like about this brand is that their e-bikes come pretty much all assembled right out of the box. So you basically just have to put a handlebar here together, and there are no screws. You just basically put it in this post right here, and that's it. So it only takes about 10 minutes to get this ready and on the road. So I'm very happy about that. Now, you've probably seen by now that we have a second seat on the back here, so maybe a kid can sit on that. So if you do plan on having a passenger, basically there are some foot pegs that you can install on the left and on the right hand side of the bike. You're gonna find those in the box, and if you do want a basket on the front here, you can also install that. So all that comes in the box. I personally left it without the basket because it makes the bike just a bit too big for my taste, but you do get those accessories in the box as well. Looks wise, well, this bike looks fairly similar with many other e-bikes that we've been seeing over the past couple of years, and I'm referring to the cargo e-bikes that we've been seeing lately. As I mentioned earlier, this is a folding bike, so the handlebar here folds. So you have kind of like a safety latch here. If you open that, you can easily fold the handlebar, and then it also folds right here in the center. The folding mechanism does work quite well. It doesn't move, doesn't shake, doesn't make any noise. So it does become quite small, so you can easily put this in your car's trunk or anything like that. And to unfold it, just as easy. We have a safety latch here as well. And then you put this back up here and you put a safety there as well. So it is very easy to fold and unfold this bike, and as I said, there is no squeaking, no movement from the folding mechanism in the center or the folding mechanism for the handlebar. Now, another thing that I really like about this bike is the fact that you can actually adjust the handlebar in height. So you can make it lower or higher, so you're never gonna feel uncomfortable riding this bike because you can put the handlebar as high as you want, so you're always in a straight position. So I really love that about this bike. Now, one thing I don't love about this bike as much is the positioning of the kickstand. Now, the kickstand does work quite well, so the bike is not gonna fall off the kickstand, but look what happens if you put the pedals backwards. And then you cannot move that back more. So if you're trying to push the bike backwards, that will happen if you have the kickstand on. So not the greatest, smartest design or positioning for that kickstand. Alright, so the bike is powered by a 500 watt motor that's located in the rear wheel here. Now, power-wise, you do have plenty of power in pretty much any situation. And to me, this actually feels like a motor that's about 750 watts. So you do get the same power as most of these bikes that have 750 watt motors. So it doesn't matter if you are riding on a flat surface, it doesn't matter if you are riding uphill, since we also have a 7-gear Shimano shifter. It's easy to ride this bike and you don't actually have to put that much effort into pedaling. The 7-gear Shimano shifter is an entry-level shifter from Shimano. Unfortunately, out of the box, it doesn't really come adjusted well. So sometimes you shift 1 gear, it actually shifts 2, then you shift back, it doesn't want to shift back. So it definitely needs some adjustment out of the box. It is fairly easy to do, but I think it should have been well adjusted when you got the bike out of the box, basically. Both on the front and on the back we have plastic mud guards. These are fairly large, so I believe they're gonna protect you if you're riding on a rainy day through water and so on. Now, it hasn't really rained here lately, so I haven't actually tried the bike on rain. but they do look like they would protect you from all that splashing. You've probably noticed by now that on the front here we have a front suspension as well. Now this has about 2 inches of travel, nothing crazy, but it will definitely help whenever you're going over curbs, over uneven terrain and so on. So definitely helpful. We also have a spring in the seat post here. So once again, if you do ride over bumps and stuff like that, this will make the ride more comfortable. Talking about comfort, the seat here is fairly big, fairly wide, and it also has a lot of padding. So whenever you're riding, this actually doesn't hurt your behinder. So it is a fairly comfortable ride. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the spring posts for seats, but I guess some people like them because of that added comfort, let's say. The same kind of goes for this seat on the back here, but personally I don't see myself carrying anyone on the back there. But if you have like a small child, maybe that's something that that could come in handy for. Moving on to brakes, so on the front and of course on the back we have mechanical disc brakes. Now I'm happy to say that these brakes don't squeal, don't make any crazy noises whenever you're riding and whenever you're braking. Now I did notice that it took a couple of days of riding so the brakes start braking better. Before they weren't actually braking that well, but after you use the bike for a couple of days the brakes do get much better. The brake levers here are made out of plastic, unfortunately, so yes, they do feel a bit on the cheap side, but they do work quite well for this kind of an e-bike. On the front and on the back, of course, we have lights. We have the headlight right here. This is bright enough so it can be seen during the day and bright enough for nighttime. And on the back we have the tail light that also acts as a brake light. So whenever you pull on the brake levers, that will light up. Now the seat here kind of folds this way, and this way you can actually remove the battery pack. As I mentioned earlier, this is a 22.5 amp hour battery pack, so larger than most of these e-bikes, and this can be removed, and we also get a key. So for example, if you don't turn on the ignition on the battery pack, the bike doesn't power on. So I guess this is a good security feature, so someone is not gonna steal your bicycle. So you can also remove this and charge it upstairs. You don't necessarily have to charge it in the bike. Now the manufacturer says that you can get a range of between 100 and 120 kilometers on one charge. Now maybe that's possible if you ride in perfect conditions, but if you use the throttle a lot, if you ride up on a lot of hills, if you're heavier, if it's colder out and so on, you're not gonna get anywhere close to that. So I'm gonna say that you can get about 50 kilometers on one charge no matter how you ride the bike. So plenty of range for pretty much any situation for an e-bike. Moving on to the handlebar. The handlebar here is wide enough, so whenever you're riding, you're pretty comfortable. As I said, you can make this higher or lower, so it kind of fits any rider. The same goes for the seat, so you can make that lower or higher. The grips here don't seem to move. On the right hand side we have the throttle, so if you don't want to pedal, you can just accelerate with the throttle. Let me power the bike on. We'll go in assistance level 3. So very easy to accelerate the throttle if you don't want to pedal. The bike is equipped with a speed sensor, so basically as soon as you start moving, the bike will sense that and will give you power basically. And from here you can kind of change the assistance levels. That doesn't actually change the power output, it changes the top speed for each of those modes. So in mode 3, which is the highest mode, the top speed for the bike is 25 kilometers an hour, so it is limited to 25 kilometers an hour. I'm pretty sure you can unlock it, but out of the box it comes locked to 25 kilometers an hour. On the left hand side of the handlebar here we have the little bell. We also have the buttons for the bike. In the center we have a screen. Now this is not the largest screen out there, however you can still see it even on a bright day like today. Again, this is not the most amazing screen out there, but it works well for the e-bike. So overall, pretty good build quality from this bike, mostly taking into consideration the price of it. Alright, so let me quickly show you how you use this bike. So you basically have the power button right here. You hold this press for about 3 seconds or so, and then the bike will come on. From here you can change assistance levels. We'll go in assistance level 2 for this ride. So you can use this bike in a couple of ways. You can accelerate from the throttle here, so let me show you how that works. so nice and easy. Or you can start pedaling, and as soon as you start pedaling, the bike will start assisting you. So let me show you how that works. So as soon as you start pedaling, the bike will start assisting you. Of course, you can just accelerate to the throttle if you want, and depending on the mode that you are, that will change the top speed. So let's go in mode number 3. That will bring us to about 25 kilometers an hour, and we'll do a brake test somewhere here. So 25 kilometers an hour. So it does brake quite well. And once again, if you don't want to pedal, when you start moving, you just accelerate with the throttle. So you can reach that 25 kilometers an hour speed in pretty much any situation. As you can hear for yourself, it is quite silent. It doesn't make any crazy noises. I'm not a fan of the shifter here, but I guess it works if you play with it a bit, you adjust it a bit. So yeah, that easy to ride this bike. It is a super windy day out today, so you're probably hearing a lot of wind aside from my voice. But overall, very easy to ride this bike in pretty much any situation. So to quickly conclude this video, the bike does look pretty good for a cargo e-bike. I guess this could come in handy if you have a kid. The motor has plenty of power, so even though this is supposed to be a 500 watt motor, this doesn't actually feel any different than other bikes that I've tried that had 750 watt motors. So plenty of power for pretty much any situation, uphill, on straight lines, no problems at all. The brakes on it do work quite well. I wasn't a fan of the shifter system because it's not adjusted properly, so I do have to do some adjusting for that. But overall, I do like this bike a lot. It is comfortable. You can position the handlebar to ride as comfortable as you want. So I can't really say anything bad about this bike because it is a pretty decent bike. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.